There's a multi-billion-dollar industry that quietly depends on you making the exact same mistake over and over again. And here's the uncomfortable part. You probably made it this week. You felt completely justified doing it, and you'll likely do it again on your next trade. It's not because you're not smart enough. It's because the people on the other side of your trade aren't trying to outsmart you. They're trying to outfeel you. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how that works and how to flip it. Let's get one myth out of the way first. Hedge funds and large institutions do not beat retail traders because they have a secret indicator you've never heard of, or some magic algorithm that predicts the future. The real edge is far simpler, and honestly, far more brutal. They know where you'll panic. They know where you'll get greedy. And they know exactly where you put your stop loss, because you put it in the same obvious place that thousands of other beginners do. In this video, you're going to learn three things. First, the core concept behind the trick, something traders call a liquidity grab, and why your emotions are the fuel that makes it work. Second, I'll walk you through a realistic, step-by-step example using actual price levels so you can see the trap close in real time. And third, I'll break down the most common mistakes that put a giant target on your back and the specific changes that take it off. By the end, you won't just understand the trick. You'll be able to spot it forming and stop being the person it's designed to catch. Let's get into it. Okay, here's the foundation. Everything else sits on. To buy or sell, you need someone to take the other side. That's obvious for you and me. We're trading a few hundred or a few $1,000s at a time. We can get in and out instantly. But imagine you're managing a fund that needs to buy $50 million of a single stock. If you just slam a market order that size, you'll push the price up against yourself and pay way too much. You need a large pool of sellers sitting in one place at the same time. In trading, that pool of waiting orders is called liquidity. So the real question for a big player isn't where is the price going? The question is, where is all the liquidity sitting? And that's where you come in. Think about where most beginners place their stop loss orders. They put them in the most predictable spots on the chart, just below an obvious support level, just above an obvious resistance level, right under a round number, like $100, or $50, or $200, right below yesterday's low. These levels aren't secret. They're the first thing every trading course teaches, which means thousands of traders cluster their orders in the exact same tiny zone. Now here's the key insight. A stop loss to sell is, mechanically, a sell order waiting to fire. Stack thousands of those just below an obvious support level, and you've created a giant reservoir of forced selling sitting in one spot. To a large fund that needs to buy, that reservoir is not a threat. It's a shopping list. So the move is simple, and it's almost mechanical. Price gets pushed down toward that obvious level, sometimes by the big players themselves, sometimes just by normal market drift. It pokes just below support. Every clustered stop loss triggers at once. Suddenly, there's a flood of panic selling, and the big buyer quietly absorbs all of it at a discount, fills their massive order, and then the price reverses and runs the other way, without the people who just got stopped out. That whole maneuver has a name. Traders call it a liquidity grab or a stop hunt. And the genius of it is that no one had to predict anything. They just had to know where fear lives on the chart. Because that's what your stop loss really is. It's a pre-recorded panic button. You set it in advance, in an emotional state, at a level you think is safe, and then you walk away. When the price taps it, you don't decide to sell. Your fear already decided, hours or days ago. And it decided at the most predictable price on the entire chart. That's the trick. It's not technological, it's psychological. Large players don't need to read your mind, because human fear and greed are astonishingly consistent. When price drops fast, beginners feel the same urge to dump and protect what's left. When price rips higher, beginners feel the same urge to chase before they miss it. Those urges show up at the same price levels, in the same patterns, for almost everyone. And anything that predictable can be mapped. And anything that can be mapped can be used. So the uncomfortable truth is this. The person on the other side of your worst trades isn't smarter than you. They just made a quiet bet that you'd feel exactly what you felt. And most of the time, they win that bet. Let's make this concrete with a realistic example. I'm going to use round, simple numbers, so the pattern is crystal clear. But this is the shape of something that plays out across markets every single day. Imagine a stock, we'll call it a typical mid-cap, trading at $50. For the past 2 weeks, every time it dropped to around $48, buyers stepped in and it bounced. So 48 has become an obvious support level. Anyone with a chart can see it. And because it's so obvious, here's what the average retail trader does. They buy in around 49 or 50, feeling smart, and they set their stop loss at 47.50, just a little below support, where they think they're protected. Now multiply that by thousands of traders, all watching the same chart. You now have a dense cluster of stop-loss sell orders sitting between, say, 47.40 and 47.90. That is a pool of liquidity, and it is glowing like a target. Here's how the sequence typically unfolds. Over a day or two, the price drifts down from 50 toward 48. Nothing dramatic, just enough to make the people who bought at 50 start to sweat. Then, often in a single sharp move, price spikes down to 47.30. It blows straight through 48, straight through 47.50, and triggers that entire wall of stops. Watch what happens emotionally in that moment. The trader who bought at 50 sees red. Their stop fires at 47.50, and they're out, a 2.50 loss per share, locked in. But it's worse than the number. They feel relieved to be out, and then immediately they feel something else, dread. It broke support. It's going lower. Good thing I sold. That story feels true. It feels responsible. And then, within hours, the stock is back above 48. By the end of the week, it's trading at 53. So let's count the losers and the winner. The retail trader didn't just lose 2.50 a share. They sold at the literal bottom, 47.30 to 47.50. The worst possible price in the entire move. And then they watched the thing they owned climb to 53 without them. From their entry, that's a swing of more than 10% they were positioned for and emotionally forced out of. Meanwhile, the large buyer did the opposite of everything the retail trader did. While the retail trader was panic selling at 47.50, the big player was calmly buying, soaking up all those forced sell orders at a discount, exactly where they wanted to. They didn't predict the bottom. They manufactured the conditions where the bottom would print by letting predictable fear flush out predictable orders. Now, I want to be fair and precise here because this matters. Not every dip below support is a coordinated hedge fund operation. Sometimes price just drops because of real news. But you don't actually need a conspiracy for this to hurt you. The mechanism works regardless of intent. Liquidity genuinely sits below obvious levels. Large orders genuinely get filled there. And panic selling at the lows is genuinely the most expensive thing a retail trader does, whether someone engineered it or it happened on its own. That's the part to sit with. Whether the spike to 47.30 was deliberate or accidental, your reaction is what converted a temporary dip into a permanent loss. The move down was the bait. Your fear was the trade. And as long as your fear lives at the most obvious price on the chart, you are reliably feeding the people on the other side. So how do you stop being the easy target? It comes down to fixing the specific mistakes that make your behavior predictable. Let's go through the big ones and the exact change for each. Mistake number 1, putting your stop loss at the obvious level. If support is at 48 and you set your stop at 47.50, you've placed it inside the most crowded zone on the chart. The fix is to stop using pretty, round levels and start using volatility instead. A common tool here is the average true range, or ATR, which simply measures how much a stock typically moves in a day. If a stock's normal daily range is $2, a stop placed only 50 cents below support will get clipped by routine noise, not by a real trend change. Giving your stop room, placing it beyond where ordinary daily wiggle reaches, instead of right at the obvious line, gets you out of the crowd. You'll take fewer losses to fake-outs, but you have to size your position smaller to do it safely, which brings us to the next one. Mistake number 2, position sizing so big that your emotions take over. Here's a rule a lot of disciplined traders use. Never risk more than 1 to 2% of your account on a single trade. If you have a $5,000 account, that's risking $50 to $100 per trade, maximum. Why does this matter for psychology? Because when you're risking 40% of your account on one position, every tick is terror. You will panic. You're not weak. Your brain is correctly screaming that something catastrophic is happening. Small position sizing isn't just about money management. It's how you buy back your own calm. So a dip to 47.30 is mildly annoying instead of a 5-alarm fire. Mistake number 3, deciding what to do while the price is moving. This is the core trap because in the moment, fear and greed are driving, and your rational brain is in the trunk. The fix is to make every important decision before you ever enter, in writing. Before the trade, you define 3 things. My entry is here. My exit, if I'm wrong, is here. My target, if I'm right, is here. Once those are set, the trade runs on rules, not feelings. When price spikes down, you're not asking, should I sell? You already answered that question when you were calm. You just follow the plan you trusted yourself to make. Mistake number 4, chasing green candles. The flip side of panic selling is FOMO buying. A stock rips up 15% in the morning, and the fear of missing out pulls you in right at the top, which is, conveniently, exactly where the big players who bought low are now selling to you. The fix is a personal rule. You don't buy extended vertical moves. If you miss the entry, you missed it. There is always another setup. Chasing is just panic, wearing a happy mask, and it feeds the same machine. And mistake number 5, the one underneath all the others, watching every single tick. If you stare at a live chart for 8 hours, you will eventually do something emotional, because your nervous system can't sit in that much micro-stress without acting. The traders who get hunted least are often the ones who set their plan, set their alerts, and then close the screen. You cannot panic sell a chart you aren't staring at. Notice the thread running through all 5 fixes. Every single one of them does the same thing. It makes your behavior less predictable and less emotional. And the entire trick we've been talking about only works on traders who are predictable and emotional. Take those 2 ingredients away, and there's nothing left to hunt. Now here's the thing. Understanding this trick once isn't enough. Emotional discipline is a muscle, and it fades fast the moment real money is on the line and your heart starts pounding. That's exactly why this channel exists. This video is part of a whole series on trading psychology and the mental side of the markets, the part nobody else wants to talk about because it doesn't sell flashy indicators. If you want to keep sharpening this edge, the one that actually separates traders who survive from traders who get flushed out, subscribe and turn on notifications so the next one lands while it's still fresh. Your future self, sitting calm during the next fake out, will thank you. So if you take just one thing away from this entire video, make it this. Hedge funds and large institutions don't beat retail traders by being smarter. They beat them by being more disciplined than the retail trader's emotions. The whole trick rests on a single assumption, that you will feel fear at the obvious low and greed at the obvious high, and that you'll act on both at the worst possible price. The instant you stop being predictable, the instant your stops move off the crowded levels, your size shrinks, and your decisions get made before the emotion hits, the trick simply stops working on you. You're no longer the liquidity. You're the one watching the trap form. Master your own psychology, and you take away the only real edge they ever had over you. Quick note before you go. This video is for educational purposes only and isn't financial advice. Always do your own research and consider speaking with a licensed professional before trading. Now go protect your calm. I'll see you in the next one. And that's a wrap on today's topic. If you found this helpful, be sure to hit like and subscribe so you never miss a lesson. Have a question about what we covered today? Drop it in the comments below. I'll be answering the best ones. If you want to dive even deeper, click on this next video right here, where we explore next topic. Thanks for learning with me today, and I'll see you in the next one.